Your boy was again fighting the blue pill mentality. But still had the dog in him. Okay? I put standards on that. No man after her, I alpha widowed her. 100%. Because her best friend that hated me back then became friends with later, and all the guys she dated was like discount version of your boy. That was a wrap, dude. Eastern Europeans all day long after. All right,
I
here we
want to
go.
talk about
Here we go. This one was requested too. 4 problems you'll face if you move in with your girlfriend. And I bet, yeah, all of you should know Rich Cooper already.
those 4 points that I made earlier, because I was actually going to do a video on this the other day. I was going to throw the GoPro up in the car and just do it on the Entrepreneurs and Cars channel. But so the 4 main risk exposures that you have are competition anxiety is going to relax. Betatization through 1,000 concessions is a real issue. Your frame control needs to go up pretty dramatically.
Oh, man. He's not playing about frame control. Relationships, marriage, hard mode. There's absolutely no time to yourself. She has access to you at her beck and call whenever, dude. You cannot relax your frame one damn second when your girl lives with you. You cannot break, dude. Hard mode does not begin to describe what it's like living full time with a woman and how tight your game has to be. Imagine when you first take a woman out on a date and the flair and the pizzazz and the game and all the shit you're spitting when you met this woman. Imagine that, dude. But you gotta be that all the time. This is why they say the best game is natural. It's when you embody it and you don't have to try anymore. But that in a relationship is insanely hard to do because you are so close. You develop such a bond and you develop this, not what's the word? I don't want to say content. This comfortable feeling amongst one another that you begin to break and let her in too much. And that's where you break, dude. Adam, semen retention and stop doing PMO will change the game. Porn destroying men's character. Women will disappear. Thanks, brother.
If you're an unplugged alpha, and you're going to have legal issues, which I'll explain last. So first thing, let's deal with competition anxiety. So what is competition anxiety? When you're dating a woman and you're going about your life, you're doing your work, you're going to the gym, you're hitting the dojo, you're hanging out with your friends, you're doing your hobbies, hanging out with your boys with the exotic car club stuff, and then you're seeing her, on days and nights and, weekends or whatever that you're hanging out. The times that you're not with her, women have competition anxiety for you, competition for your attention, your time.
Yeah, and they say that, quote, a little distance between us is never a bad thing. You long for the things you don't have, or you don't know how much you love something until you lose it kind of thing. And that happens on a more micro scale. It's not that you're leaving her, but you're actually leaving her presence. So the heart longs for that, which it can't have in the moment. So she starts the Disney narrative in her own head, starts remembering all the good times, remembering your presence because she feeds off your energy. So whenever you're apart, if you don't live together, you maintain a very strong frame with your woman. But when you share a household, that the longing isn't there. She has access to you always, all hours of the day, except when you're gone at work, which isn't enough. The heart grows weaker. The shit tests start coming up more often. You start to fail them more and more. Your frame starts cracking more and more. The downward spiral has become normal. And there's no way for you to right your ship. It's crazy, dude. I don't recommend moving in with your significant other until you got your game locked down tight. And by game and frame, I mean your life. I don't mean say some smart shit to her shit test. I mean, you got to become the man. You got to have your business ironed out. You got to have abundance mentality naturally, your body on point. Women look at you just walking down the street. You have to become another man. And then you can let her move in because you have to elicit the competition anxiety. You have to show your value naturally to her without trying, simply by existing. That's how you get to keep her. Otherwise, you can't keep up the charade of the smooth asshole on the date saying slick shit all the time, compensating for maybe being a more normal dude or not being your natural self, because obviously fake it till you make it. A lot of guys do that on a date. They'll try to act like they're hot shit when they're not, to try to impress a woman.
And it's not just other women, it's the people you're with, friends and stuff like that. She doesn't know what you're up to. She doesn't know where you're at. She doesn't know who's there. This is why when women, when you're dating, like when you live together, One of the things that will relax is she doesn't creep you as much, which could be a pro or a con, but women will creep the shit out of a guy that they are head over heels for, right? If you're her apex alpha, if you're the guy that she sees as her hypergamous best option, she's going to follow you very closely and what you're doing with your online footprint, mostly on social media, who
Mate
likes your
guarding.
posts, who follows you, who comments on your shit, right? And then she'll dive into all their stuff.
That brought back flashbacks, dude. Oh, God. Yeah, the mate guarding is real, dude. Sniffing through all your shit. I remember I was sitting down. This was back in college with my then girlfriend. Was sitting down watching fucking, what's that zombie shit that was on with Carl. The boy's name was Carl. Walking Dead. Watching Walking Dead, bro. And then she gets a text message from her best friend and literally just puts the phone dead in my face and goes, "Who the fuck is this bitch?" And it's a picture of me that messaged a chick on, like, commented on a girl's post. "Hey, didn't recognize you, all dolled up at the club. Would have said hello. Hadn't seen you in a while. Was cool to catch up." Whatever. Because that was the girl that our buddy was hanging out with. Couldn't recognize her. Saw her one time, pulled her from a club. She came over in like a bikini. We had a pool, like, kickback. My buddies and her other two girlfriends. Didn't realize that was the same chick with makeup on. Immediate, bro. Puts the phone in my eyeballs. Causes a scene, storming all over the house. "Get out, I knew you would cheat on me. I knew you'd do all this stuff." Just freaking out, bro, being super dramatic. Your boy did nothing wrong. I just told her, I was like, if I'm trying to creep on you, why would I be commenting publicly and leaving it up? Use some common sense, bozo. And her BFF was just putting shit in her head, and your boy diffused the situation. It was all good. Piped it up, problem went away. You know how it be.
Stuff. Oh, did he comment on her stuff? Is he following her? Does he like her stuff? Why? That competition anxiety, which is a good thing, believe it or not, relaxes almost completely when you guys live together because she knows where you are at all times. She knows that she is beside you in that bed every night. Okay. She knows when you get up. She knows when you make your coffee. She knows when you take your first shit. She knows what you eat for.
Yeah, and the competition anxiety was so real. With my relationship back then, I was sharing my location just so I wouldn't have to deal with shit. That she knew my schedule and I'd pick up the phone whenever, dude, had no problem. Because I didn't want to deal with arguments. So I had to calm her insecurities. This is your boy learning. He's getting red pilled during this moment. This was me already on my way, boys. That was a doozy of a relationship. And I was sharing that shit because I didn't care. And I wasn't actually talking to anybody else, wasn't creeping, wasn't doing shit. I was like, you moron, if you need all this information here, less of a headache for me. Still wasn't enough, bro. I still got accused of cheating and all that shit, which we learned later is a projection technique for somebody that's either thinking or doing said thing. Okay?
She knows everything about you. So having a little bit of mystery in the relationship is good for the relationship, because it keeps things a little bit strange. It keeps her and you, to some degree, both of you, on your toes. You don't make as many mistakes. And to be honest, neither does she. So having a little bit of competition anxiety is a good thing. Too much of it can be a bad thing because it can drive her nuts, right? Like she'll just go into like a jealous rage and just make your life miserable. But when you live together, competition anxiety relaxes. And that's going to bring me to betatization and frame because they're kind of interconnected. So the next point is betatization through 1,000 concessions. At no point when you're dating a woman is she going to come over to your house and say, "Rich, you can't put your socks in that laundry hamper because that's the brown laundry hamper. And you got to put the dark clothes in the dark hamper and put your white stuff in the white hamper because that's where they go." They don't do that when you're dating. They don't do that when you're in a relationship and living in two separate homes. They don't.
Yeah, I'd never got concrete evidence, but I suspected, yes, that she was cheating. Your boy was, again, fighting the blue pill mentality, but still had the dog in him, okay? I put standards on that ass. No man after her, I alpha widowed her, 100%. Because her best friend that hated me back then became friends with later, and all the guys she dated was like discount version of your boy. That was a wrap, dude. Eastern Europeans all day long after.
Bother you with those things. So that's a process known as betatization through 1,000 concessions. Put your white socks in a white hamper. Put your dark socks in a dark hamper. Don't brush your teeth over there. You're going to get toothpaste on the carpet. Okay. That's betatization through 1,000 concessions. And each time you make a little concession yielding to her with that little bullshit thing, oh, don't put the Tupperware over here and the lids have to go over here and it's got to be stacked like this. Or why can't you put the toilet?
Yeah, and the craziest shit is, dude, here's the craziest shit of that past relationship, because I had a roommate, which was like a brother. He's my brother, basically. And he would always come into my room, vice versa. He had a super toxic as fuck relationship back then too, and we would just blow off steam to one another and we were getting red pilled hard. We already had these inclinations and knew all this shit, but it was like arriving to said terminology and experience. Both of us, handsome, good-looking guys. We were living in a giant-ass house not too far from the club. His house, obviously, dude was loaded, so his house had like a pool with fucking fountains squirting water and all that shit. Hey, ladies, you want to come back for a little pool kickback? We're just 5 minutes down the street. Later, dude. Every Friday, Saturday, Taco Tuesday, Thursday, Thirsty Thursdays, whatever, had women over. It was not an issue. After we got single. But before then, we were goodies. Did not do shit. And because there was so many women trying to hit on us and so many eyes, side eyes, and attention being thrown our way, that competition anxiety was through the fucking roof in both our relationships. His was the worst, dude. He had the most insecure woman I've ever seen in my entire life. I have stories that will blow you away. We're sitting at a restaurant, right? Think like a Buffalo Wild Wings, right? At a wing bar watching the games, football. A woman would walk behind me, my friend sitting in front of me, and his eyeball staring at me as I'm talking to him, but a woman behind me walks past. His girl immediately starts yelling in his face, who the fuck is that girl? And do you know her? Because maybe she glanced over looking for somebody in our general vicinity. Or wild. I've never seen mate guarding on that level in my life. That one was a doozy. Anyways, the full red pilling came. When did it come? Shortly after he breaks up with his girl, I break up with my girl. We both had enough. We were being good guys. We weren't screwing around like we were getting constantly accused of doing. Bend over backwards for these women, right? They had essentially, they nailed it, dude. In that town, we were top dogs, number 1 and 2. You weren't gonna beat us. Tall, white, handsome dudes in a predominantly Hispanic town. It was game over. Had game, smashed it out of the park, in the sack, everything, had whatever you needed. Did everything right, still got screwed over. Relationship still failed. Then we went on a tear. The degeneracy started. Then it was like impossible not to have women over every single day. We were trying so hard to be good men that we straight dipped into the bad boy asshole mode. I mean, the quote, fuck boy that they say, we embodied that shit. It was like, cool, dude. His relationship was like 5 years. Mine was like 2 or 3. We were done with that shit. Cool story. It's time to be a dog now. And dogs we were. We went to the dark side. And don't recommend this for everybody, but we were also mending broken hearts. And what we did was sleep with women to try to get over said girls, which is in and of itself a trap, because you can never replace that woman with the women you're sleeping with. See, this is the danger of essentially trying to sleep away your problems. So what we did was, dude, ran amok in that town. And I don't say that lightly. And the stories and the shit we've done, hell, we lived pretty close to Vegas too. And oh my God, we get demonetized. I can't even tell you half of the shit that happened. That'll probably be a stream on Locals. Yeah, that has to be story time on Locals. That's what we got to do. This one's not for YouTube, boys. Sorry. It was, I like to just call it degenerate years. Let's continue with it. Let's not get off topic.
Split seat down, right? That's betatization through 1,000 concessions. By the time you make those 1,000 concessions, like the guy mentioned earlier, when he started doing chores and she didn't really want anything to do with him and ended up cheating on him, women become less interested in you because you will betatize yourself. It doesn't matter if you start out as an unplugged alpha. It is not a question as to whether or not you will be betatized. It is to what extent.
And again, during my blue pilling, I went through this exact shit he's talking about. I went through all this, dude. The shit he's talking about. 4 problems you'll face with your moving girlfriend. He's not joking when he says this shit. I literally was driving the car and I lost an argument. I'm not thinking about the argument. She said something and I apologized at the time. Not even thinking, bro. I'm busy in my own head, driving the car and thinking about where we're going, what we're about to do. But I conceded an argument. And in her eyes, she literally turned around and told me, wow, the guy I met would have never let me get away with that. Said it like shocked, surprised, and disgusted at the same time, rolled into one. And I was like, what? I didn't even have time to respond. I didn't even have time to say anything. I was just sitting there silent, like, what the fuck just happened here? Did I just get like bamboozled psychologically by this woman? Dude, your game, when they say your game has to be tight, that's how tight it is. A simple question while you're driving a car doing something. A little argument here and there that you think is inconsequential is consequential to your relationship.
Extent and how much you will resist it. Even I have to resist betatization through 1,000 concessions when I'm dealing with my girlfriend. Okay, she doesn't live with me. There's a reason for that. Makes your life easier for both of you. And trust me, you're going to like each other a lot more. Like, whenever a chick starts to pressure you to like live together, here's a little challenge for you. Take a look around at everybody she knows. Parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends. And then just take a look around and be like, okay, well, there's this couple, this couple, this couple, this couple. And you get like, 10, 20 of them. And you'd be like, how many of them are like truthfully, like ecstatically happy with one another, like deeply in love, that have been together for, let's say, more than 5 to 7 years? The answer almost always is going to be almost none of them, or maybe one. So if you're telling me that 1 out of 20 can make it, what chances do you think that we're going to be able to figure it out? Even a guy like me that has frame, that understands, a lot of these concepts that I talk about, it just makes better sense not to invite or complicate my life unnecessarily and dispense energy and resources trying to
Thank you, Malcolm.
maintain higher levels of frame so I don't get betatized, so I don't have to listen to shit about toilet seats, or why can't you stack the Tupperware properly in the cupboard like the way that I do it? You follow me here so far? So betatization's a real threat. Again, that kind of ties into competition anxiety, which brings me to the next point, which is frame. In every relationship, one person enters the other person's frame. If you move into her house, you're entering her frame. If she moves into your house, technically she should be entering your frame. You move into a place together, she should be entering into your frame. Even if you move in it, like if I were to move into a chick's house, let's be honest, I would be that guy that would be like, no, you're entering my frame. But I wouldn't do it. But that would be how it would have to be done if it could be done, which is really almost like an impossibility. But that's how this guy would do it, right? Because I'm that guy. So frame is maintaining the fact that she is a complement to your life. That's it. There's no complexity. She's not here to complicate your life. It's an easy equation. Easy life, hard dick, not the other way around. Okay? You want easy life. And you're going to have to increase. It doesn't matter how good of a chick she is. It really doesn't. Okay? She could be the best chick in the world, 10 out of 10, no red flags.
A Pagani BC.
All green flags. As soon as you live together, the amount of frame control that you use in the relationship is going to have to go up dramatically. Now, if you like doing that, if you like playing games, if you like dealing with shit tests, if you like, enforcing boundaries more often, then invite a chick to live with you, because it's going to be more work. There's only 24 hours in a day. I have a chapter in my book that talks about managing your fucks and dispensing your energy for things that are only truly fuck-worthy. So I've got stuff I got to do. There's a business that I got to run. There's multiple businesses I got to run. There's things that I got to do with my life that require my energy, focus, and attention. And if I take if I take away from that because I have to manage frame in a live-in long-term relationship, then there's less attention and resources to do those things.
Yeah, and this is why I circle back to do not invite a live-in situation until you're naturally that guy, until you don't have to think about dispensing out game constantly in her presence. That's a losing proposition. You can never be on point 100% of the time unless you are the guy naturally. Build your life up first, become a man of experience and options. Then you can invite such a scenario. and it be to your advantage, because she will always be under competition anxiety. She will always be mate guarding because your value is intrinsic by just being the guy. You only have to run this game consciously when your values are almost even, when she can somewhat replace you without trying, when you have a ton of competition as a man to keep your woman. That's when you have to consciously apply game and frame. But when you're such a status that she can't afford to lose you, that she would not dare talk to another man, that there's too much on the line for her to lose, your game is impenetrable there. You won. That is literally the end game.
Again, there's only 24 hours in a day, and then there's 60 minutes in an hour, and there's 24 of those hours in one day. So every time you're, subtracting a couple of minutes to deal with this bullshit, or maybe an hour because there's a big blow up over some other.
And see, and everything he's describing is exactly that man that has not become said high value male, because the inviting the bullshit of dealing with the drama of all this stuff absolutely disappears when you become that guy. She will be pleasant to be around. She will be feminine. She will be compliant. I won't say the S word. She will be bubbly. She will be a source of joy and happiness for you because she wants your time, and she recognizes how valuable the time you spend with her is. See, the woman that gives you all this drama and headache does not value your time that much. And that value decreases because you live together and she has access to it willy-nilly. But if your life is set up to be said man, the select man, then yeah, any amount of time you spend with her, she would not dare start shit over the toilet seat being up and down. You're a man. You got shit to do. You got businesses to run, deals to go close, money to go make, shit to go take care of. I don't care about the toilet seat up and down. Handle that shit. That's the difference. Beta Bob, who's not doing shit with his life, barely making it, barely supporting both of them, whining and bitching to his woman about how hard his boss was on him. Yes, she's going to not want to hear any of that shit and then snap at him because of his feminine energy and be like, go put the goddamn toilet seat up. That's how that happens, dude. Beta energy invites that kind of shit.
You are stealing that from your purpose. You are stealing that from chasing excellence to deal with something that is easier to maintain if you just maintain two separate households. I'm not opposed to living with a woman. Let me just make that clear. I'm not opposed to it, but it has to be on my terms, and it's got to be with her entering my frame, being a total compliment to my life with no bullshit, which is going to be very, very difficult to achieve. So if we're being honest, the amount of effort and resources that you apply to being on your grind is going to offer you a greater ROI. And trust me, guys, a lot of women don't like to hear this. There's women probably watching this right now. Maybe even my chick is watching right now. She hates being called chick, but I call her chick anyway, because that's how I run frame. Oh my God. Truth of the matter is, she's actually going to likely be happier maintaining her own household. She can decorate the fucking place however she wants with the foo-foo and the crystals and the energy shit over here and the candle, and she can put 27 fucking pillows on her bed. Okay. That's what women like to do, right? Women like to do that stuff. Let them have their space. Let them do that, right? I like going over my chick's house. It's very feminine and foo-foo-y and stuff like that. But I love coming back to my place. So there's frame, right? You are going to have to increase the amount of time, effort, and resources that you apply to managing frame in a long-term relationship if you live together. Less so if you're not living together. You still need to use frame, but you will need to exert less energy on it. So competition anxiety, betatization, and frame. And the last issue is legal issues, which is a pretty complex one. And if we're being honest, can be quite fucking costly for a lot of guys. Generally speaking, women date across and up on the socioeconomic scale, which means they're going to date a guy that's better off than them. Women don't like to get into long-term relationships with guys that are broke. They'll bang them, they'll have fun with them, they'll become friends with benefits or some shit like that, but they don't like to, hey, I'd like to, introduce you to my family. I'd like you to introduce you to my nieces and nephews and all sort of stuff. Women don't generally do that. They like to date across and up on the socioeconomic scale. So the chances of you being with a chick that's equal to you or makes more than you is an almost impossibility in today's world. You're almost always going to be better off than she is, which means you now expose your assets to the court system under family law. There's this concept called common law. Here where I live, it's after 2 years. In other places in the world, it could be 5, could be 7 years. You know, you're gonna have to check with a lawyer where you live. But when the government decides that you're now married, so here, if I were to live with my chick for 2 years and a day, and she said, fuck this, I'm out, she could technically take half my shit. Okay. There's more to it than just that, obviously, but technically, a woman has rights to your assets. It's funny. It's not even funny, but there was a video that I did. It was about 2 or 3 years ago. There was a very affluent family here in Canada, actually in Toronto. I wish I queued up this video so I could talk about it a little more detail. But this guy, he was in his 50s, very fucking affluent family, billionaire. Like the family was worth billions of dollars. Like if you were to look up the top 100 richest families in Canada, he was like, his family name was on the list. I think they were like in the 50s or something like that. And this fucking stupid guy was dating the single mom, and they maintained 2 separate households. Now, this is the way that law works here in Canada. So even if you don't live together, it can be quite risky. But even though they maintained 2 separate households, because he ended up spending so much time with her, taking her down to Florida, taking her to the Muskoka Lakes. He actually gave her a ring, and there was a photograph saying that they were engaged or married. I can't remember what the exact details were, but blah, blah, blah. Fast forward,
BC.
They broke up, but because the court saw that they spent so much time together, with him taking her on trips and vacations and up at his lake house and down in Florida, you know, down in the condo in the wintertime, they deemed that relationship as a marriage, even though they never had a ceremony, they never took vows, and they never technically lived under the same roof together. She always maintained her own household because her kids were.
I've read about something like that. There's a rich dude, a businessman. I think he was Canadian, and never lived with a chick. I have to find that article. We might have covered it too, or I might have not covered that one. Never lived with her. They went on vacations, did a whole bunch of shit. Anyways, imagine that. Never lived with her. And she ended up getting, I don't know how much she got, but she got millions. The courts sided with her. So you don't even have to live with a woman these days, quote, common law. It's gotten so convoluted. I don't know what they're going to do, dude. There has to be some sort of bachelor tax incoming. If men completely decide to just go overseas and be done with dating here. How far do you take it? Like, where does the risk start? If she takes pictures with you, what happens? Is that proof in court? Hey, we've been hanging out together for X amount of months. We've been on these trips together. That means we're together, right? Am I entitled to half his shit? I mean, you can see this happening in some woke parts of the country. I don't know. Canada seems more woke now than the US. But it seems like a form of a bachelor tax. Really is. I mean, who benefits from such a thing? The courts do, right? The government. If you get divorced, they get a piece, administrative fees and everything. Every payment you send is an administrative fee attached to it.
We're in a school zone, but he would spend so much time going over there, having dinner, them coming over to his place. He would fly all of them down to fucking Florida, you know, going up to the lake house. This fucking guy had to maintain a massive amount of money. Somebody in the comments is going to write the guy's name. Somebody, please. Live comments, somebody. I'll look for it. But it'll be in the final comments at the end. This guy had to cough up huge bucks, even though he never married this chick. But because they were in a long-term relationship and lived in such a way that looked like a marriage to the government, they called it a marriage, and he ended up having to maintain her fucking lifestyle after that. So you don't even have to live together. That's how fucked up law is in countries like Canada. But the truth of the matter is, you can put together a cohabitation agreement, which, by the way, loses its effectiveness over time. So the longer you're together, the less relevant it becomes. It's relevant for a few years, 10 years down the road, not so much. Depends how circumstances change and unwind. This is why my lawyer is just like, it's just not worth the hassle. It's just simpler. It's easier for us to love each other. We have a better time with one another, right? You know, like it's just a reality of the world today. Like if living together is such a great idea, why did I have 450 comments, but I could only find 2? And again, I asked the question in a very balanced way. Why did I only find 2 people that praised their long-term relationship? Right? It doesn't work out for most guys. So there's the legal issue thing. Could you protect it with a cohabitation agreement? Possibly over a long period of time.
You know, and one of the GOATs, Patrice O'Neill, was a huge proponent of living separately. And he called it just protecting your masculine energy. He just needed his own me time separated from her.
Not so much. But you're always going to be exposed to that risk because, again, women don't date down. They only like to date up. They want to move into, they want to be invited into your world, right? You're not going to go to their, you know, bus pass club. She's going to come to your exotic car club and hang out with you and your friends, right? That's what women do, right? That's not a bug. That's a feature of women. If they weren't.
Here's something fucked up. How do I say this? Give me a second. All your girl's hobbies, the things she likes to do, before meeting you, a man taught her. Those cool, quirky things, some dude taught her that before you. And if your relationship fails, those cool things you taught her, she'll show the other guy she's about to start dating. And he's going to be like, I love that about you. The same shit you loved about her.
Hypergamous, we would not be so successful as a species. Women needed to find the best possible guy that they could find for her and her children to survive. It's always been that way throughout history. And here we are in today's modern times with family law and the government getting involved in your fucking life, as they always like to do, and interfering with your shit. And that's just the way that it is. So keep those 4 points in mind, because those are really the main ones. Competition anxiety decreases, which means her interest in you will decrease, which is tied into why so many guys reported a strong decrease in intimacy or levels of intimacy or the enthusiasm in which intimacy would occur. Betatization, she's going to become less interested in you as part of the result of that. You know, as a consequence, it's part of the intermingling of all that. So you're going to have strong frame. You know, the third point. And then you've got the legal issue. So that's the main stuff. Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed.
All right, dope. Yeah. Another one.